Thursday, October the 16th, 2025. Good morning and welcome to your perfect day start of the morning brief. I'm Kayode Okikelu.
And it's a beautiful Thursday. Hopefully the stories will be just as beautiful, but if they are not, we'll just have to find some beauty in every moment. Welcome to your perfect morning starter. I am Bukola Koka. Let's start with beautiful news or cheery news. At least from the numbers, Nigeria's headline inflation continues to decline for the sixth consecutive month from 20.12 in August to 18.02% in September 2025. And that's a significant 2.1 percentage point decrease from the 20.12 which was recorded in August. So gradually, we're inching towards that target of 15%. I should say that we got here as a result of rebasing, statistical adjustments, and all of that. Interestingly, food inflation also continues to decline. Food inflation, of course, we know is the major driver of headline inflation anywhere in the world, particularly in Nigeria. So that is what the numbers say, according to the MBS. But there's usually the other side to the story, what the pocket or the market or what Nigerians themselves feel. But the point here is that the price increases are not, they're not increasing as fast as they used to. So it's a slowdown in some sense. The prices aren't coming down as fast, but also they're not increasing as fast in that sense. It's important to properly contextualize it, Bukola. And speaking of context and numbers, it's significant to note that food inflation rate in September 2025, according to the NBS, was 16.87% year-on-year basis. And this was 20.9% basis points lower compared to the rate recorded in September 2024, which was 30.77%. So that's significant. From 16.87% in September, that's last month, compared to what we had September 2024, which was 37.77%. Now, indeed, food prices are, coming down, but how significant is the reduction that we're beginning to record in the price of foodstuff as against what the value of the Naira currently says? 70,000 Naira minimum wage, just break that down, based on what food prices are talking about in the market. And perhaps, if food prices are sustained, and of course the pump price of petrol, which has, recorded an increase in the last couple of days, are we going to be recording the same reduction at the end of October when the NBS releases inflation figures again? Something just to chew on as we continue to look at the figures of inflation reduction. I doubt that that reduction will be recorded yet again in the month of October against a backdrop of increasing petrol prices. But that's where we are currently. Inflation reduction for the month of September, 18.01%. That's what headline inflation is saying currently. But of course, all the other variables are also there. When pump price of petrol sneezes, every other thing catches cold. Right now, people are talking about the discomfort in the alarming increase in transportation costs, of course, on the back of the increase in the pump price of petrol. I just wonder if that will also significantly impact on foodstuff generally in the coming weeks.
Two important points, Bukola. 18.02% is getting closer to the 15% target of President Bola Tinubu. I should say that there were mixed reactions when he set that target earlier on. We had renowned economists saying that is unrealistic, it's unachievable. We had some others saying it is possible. Pun intended there. So it looks like we're inching gradually towards that 15%. Yes, it was rebased and all of that. That's on the one hand. On the second hand is the fact that before the APC government came into power, Nigeria's inflation was just approximately 10%, in fact, slightly below 10%. So as much as we're coming to 15% as the target, the goal for the majority of Nigerians is that we at least go back to status quo. Let's go back to that less than 10% inflation rate. Then we can begin to have conversations around now doing better? Because what it will seem like is we have taken 100 steps backward. So we're trying to retrace our steps before we then move forward. Again, context.
Well, as far as that is concerned, economists are divided on, the reduction in inflation and the target based on what has been included in the CPI basket from the time of the rebasing. So economists are not necessarily agreed. Some would say the NBS's calculation is voodoo calculation as far as that is concerned. And the approach to getting to single digit or even 15% is more questionable than believable. But what's your own conclusion? I guess that's what's more important, because you're at the receiving end of all of this significantly as against the calculators of the inflation figures. Kayode.
That would be interesting, asking Nigerians, what is your own inflation figure? But while that is...
What's the inflation figure in your pocket?
In your pocket, right. Very important. So let us know, right? But while all of that is going on in the economy, which is vital, politics has sort of taken all of the headlines, really. In the past few days, it's been from one big political story to another. Governor Peter Mbah of Enugu State moving to the APC alongside all of the other, big politicians in the state. And then the governor of Bayelsa State, Diri, yesterday announcing his resignation from the People's Democratic Party. So another governor, in that sense, down from the PDP. But we're not sure where he's headed to just yet. But let's take a listen to what the governor had to say.
Today, the 15th day of October 2025, I wish to formally notify you that in keeping with the extant protocols, I, Governor Diri, do hereby resign my membership of the People's Democratic Party. And I'm not going to resign alone. And as you can see, I'm here with Mr. Speaker, Deputy Speaker, and all the members of our party who are going to go with me. And so today, I have formally resigned my membership of the People's Democratic Party for very obvious reasons. I'm grateful to all my friends and supporters who have stood by us and with us.
The governor of Bayelsa State there, Senator Diri, of course, was formerly a senator, announcing what happens to be not too much of a surprise to many, considering that the governor of Enugu State, less than 24 hours before that time, also jumped ship from the PDP to the APC. Well, Governor Diri hasn't told Nigerians yet where he is headed. But the reason for his defection, he put it, quote unquote, as for obvious reasons. Of course, we know that the People's Democratic Party has been a house divided in the last couple of years, particularly since the 2023 presidential election, when there was a disagreement over the region from which the presidential candidate was chosen. So where is Governor Diri headed? But there's something else that also came through yesterday. A man who gave him his full support, his predecessor in office, addressed the press and said, look, I disagree. For a governor, a second-term governor, there was no reason for him to defect. Let's listen to Senator Seriake Dixon, and then we'll be right back.
His governor's office.
The governor consulted me several times to his credit. And I was not convinced because I didn't see any compelling reason for a second-term governor to defect. No reason. And We know the issues in the PDP, but issues are there to be solved by the governors and the leaders. Have they not been the leaders of the parties? And if we don't succeed in retrieving the PDP, in saving the PDP, then we'll be part of a collective decision, which again should not be the ruling party, because I believe there must be opposition. A democracy without opposition ceases to be democracy. It becomes dictatorship from that day. It becomes totalitarianism from that day. Position does not mean you have to be fighting. You have to be, here am I, supporting the president's nomination. By the Constitution, it is the responsibility of the president to forward a name of INEC chairman to us, and he has done that. I know there are people who say a president who is partisan should not have that power, but that is not the law as it is. That is the law as it ought to be, probably.
Senator Seriake Dickson there, quite forthright about his disposition towards his successor's defection. And, you know, it's either you're forthright to the left or to the right as far as defections are concerned. If you consider the commentary that is also coming through from other members of the PDP, former Governor Ayofayoshi was saying yesterday that, in fact, more defections are coming from the PDP to other political parties. And he said something quite interesting yesterday. He said, if my wife is leaving and going to the streets, are you going to blame the destination that she's headed? Because then it must suggest that there's something happening back home. And that was quite difficult to fault, Kayode.
Politicians and analogies, you just can't help it. It just paints a vivid picture. But back to that issue, you said for obvious reasons. That's the governor of Bayelsa State. Just how obvious are these reasons to the people who gave him the mandate on the platform of the People's Democratic Party? I know the governor of Enugu State tried to speak as much as possible about the people's role in all of this. So for the Bayelsa State governor as well, where are the people in this decision, right? And I think it's a conversation we must have amidst all of this movements, resignations, and the rest. And what is quite interesting, Bukola, is that as at August, just 2 months ago, that is, this was Governor Diri with other PDP governors during the PDP Governors Forum meeting, which held at the Government House in Gusau, Zamfara State on August the 23rd. And you can see the governor right there holding hands, or just right beside the governor of Osun State, and that's the governor of Adamawa State. I see, in fact, there's a PDP chairman. You can see the governor of Zamfara State. You can see the governor of Bauchi State, whom we're hearing rumors about as well. So it's quite interesting, Bukola. So the question is, who is next? Who is the next Judas, in quote?
Kayode, did you just say Judas?
In quote. You know, okay. In the manner of speaking, who's going to leave the PDP first and then maybe join the APC? By the way, there are other destinations. There's the ADC, right? There's Labour Party. There's ACE, there are other destinations, right? But I just wanted to raise a point that is a governor that had a meeting with his colleagues. Were these issues discussed? Well, we don't know. What are the obvious reasons? Is it just the internal wranglings and the rest, which Senator Dickson says should be fixed by the governors themselves? But the biggest point in all of this is, where are the people? Bukola, do you want to answer?
Well, the people will answer that very critical question. At the polls, yes. Where they belong. Is it with the governors or to other political parties? We're going to get answers to that in 2027. But more importantly, we should also be looking at what these obvious reasons would be, if we're borrowing the words of Senator Seriake, Governor Diri, because Senator Seriake Dickson says for a second-term governor. So does it now mean that a first-term governor who defects is justified to defect because of fear of their political future. So we should also be interrogating sometimes the unfiltered comments that come through from politicians. Again, I refer to the very interesting conversation with former Governor Ayofayose yesterday, and he said something that Nigerians should probably be reflecting on. He was a strong opposition during the tenure of late former President Muhammadu Buhari, and said he stood his ground. And many were saying, oh, why don't you just leave Baba to rest and, come over, and then, that will be the end of your woes, without quoting him copiously. Now, you may have to refer to the interview. And he said he stood his ground, and that was quite significant. So what made the difference? Why was former Governor Ayofayose able to weather the storm at that time? And why are governors under this current dispensation unable to weather the storm, if indeed that is the heart of the conversation? Why the mass defection? And, are they also being offered? Is that the style of the executive at the federal level? Are they being pressured, as former Governor Ayofayose has suggested? We should also be reading between the lines, such that, Nigerians are not carried away by the commentary that indeed they consulted across board, even at the local level, before the decision was made for defection, as we're hearing from Taraba State, where the governor is saying that consultations are being made about a possible defection. So very important points to look at. And of course, we'll be exploring it in depth subsequently in the conversation today, but we have other things lined up, Kayode. I
just mentioned that former Bayelsa East lawmaker, Senator Ben Bruce, also announced his movement to the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC. He put up a post on X yesterday, just at about 1:32 p.m. He put up that post. Started by speaking about President Bola Tinubu. Very interesting, saying he has known him since 1998. He says, the man's mind, quite interesting, knows his courage and his conviction, saying that the president is not driven by applause, he's driven by results. And he says today he can boldly say that the president is on the right track. So it wasn't until the third to the last paragraph that he then made his intention known that he's joining the All Progressives Congress, APC. But he says it's not for politics, but for progress. Says he believes the President Bola Tinubu's leadership, guided by courage and intellect, will deliver the Nigeria we have all dreamed of. But he didn't end without this promise. He said, mark my words, in the full term of 8 years, Nigeria will witness phenomenal growth. And that's why he says he chooses to stand with that vision, with that reform, and with that future. Quite an interesting write-up there, and he tried to present his conviction. A lot of Nigerians are responding to that, which we'll get into on the show today. We'll give you all of the reactions to that. But let's unveil for you some of the conversations we'll be taking on the program today with our highlights. First, all of the concerns about a one-party state will be laid bare on the table today on the program as we speak to the concerns from political leaders, leaders of thought, even activists who are saying, with all of these movements and defections, is Nigeria moving to a one-party state? That is one big question that we seek to answer on the show today.
And is the PDP dead but not yet buried at the national, at the state level in Bayelsa? What are the implications of Governor Diri's movement away from the PDP? For the PDP in Bayelsa State, we'll also be looking at that on the program today.
Oh, yes. So this is the part where you get to have your voice heard on the show this morning as we bring you the question of the day. Amidst all of these defections, movements, resignations, what are your thoughts about the one-party state concerns? Do you think that these defections, particularly into the APC, Are they healthy for Nigeria's democracy? We've seen defections here and there from governors to former senators, serving senators, and a lot more. So what are your thoughts? Are these defections into the APC healthy for Nigeria's democracy? Share your thoughts with us on that email, through that email, themorningbrief@channelstv.com. You can also hashtag us, CTV Morning Brief on X, so we can also get your thoughts in. So let us know what you think about these defections and what they mean to Nigeria's democracy. Are they healthy? Does it make it more robust? Does it maybe give it some more edge, some more bite, some more advantage, or not? Let us know.
Indeed. So we'll be waiting to take your thoughts later on the program. After the break, it will be time to look at the papers. And guess what? They have an interesting way of presenting the big stories from the last 24 hours. So stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Time now to look at the papers. And Dr. Ambrose Igboke, media consultant and chairman, Guild of Public Affairs Analysts of Nigeria, Enugu chapter, joins us now. He joins us virtually from Enugu State. Dr. Igboke, good morning, and thank you for joining us on the program.
Good morning. It's good to be here.
Now let's start with the way we started on the program and with New Telegraph. Look at this. Nigeria's inflation rate drops to 18%, lowest since 2022. And there's an insight there. Highest in Ekiti, Rivers, Nasarawa, lowest in Bauchi, Niger, and Enugu. Details, of course, are on the inside pages 3 and 28. But Mr. Igboke, we asked an important question earlier on, as you also react to the general story about inflation dropping. What's inflation like in your pocket?
The inflation in my pocket has not reduced, though. And definitely, if it has reduced, it is not the rate they are talking about. For example, I know that a full bag of rice has fallen from, let's say, 70,000 to like 60,000 in my area. That is the local rice. So when you compare that, it's not the same figure, what is being bandied around for the statistics from the federal government. I will also want to look at, as a scholar myself, I'm looking at some things. One, if inflation has gone viral to like 300 to 400% in the last 2 years, and then you get maybe a 20% reduction in the inflation that you have taken up to 300%. What it means is that I am not calculating it the way you're calculating it, mere numbers. I am calculating it pre-inflationary rise of 2021, 2022, before the 2023 removal of fuel subsidy, removal of electricity subsidy, removal of increase in data and calls from the telecoms, and so many things that have gone up since then. So for me, the adjustments and the celebration should be, how do we go back to the pre-2023 era before May 29, 2023? That is where I will now tell you, if there's a reduction from the rate we were then I will agree with Nigeria Bureau of Statistics or the CBN or the Ministry of Finance with this. But you don't take inflation 300, 400%, in some cases 1,000%, and it drops a little, and you tell me to celebrate it. Nigerians want inflation to be at the level it was before May 29, 2023. Anything outside that is a mere academic exercise.
Interesting. Well, we'll see how that plays out, particularly how the numbers turn out subsequently. But there are other stories from the front page of New Telegraph as well this morning. I wonder if we have time to take that, or we should just go straight to the next paper. Let's go to This Nigeria this morning. This Nigeria newspaper takes a deep dive into the politics, particularly of the last 24 hours. Diri digs PDP grave deeper. That's it. Diri digs PDP grave deeper, heads for ruling party. But the governor didn't say his destination. He didn't disclose his destination yesterday. But this Nigeria is sort of, giving a hint as to where he's headed. But there are also some riders there. Those who criticize me are now in APC. Wike throws jab. Bayelsa governor is on his second term. Why is he decamping? Dr. Igboke, why is he decamping?
Well, for us outside political arena, we look some of the things straight jacketed. But for those who are in the political players, they have their own matrix for for assessment of their political future. Even Senator Hiraki Dixon, former governor of Bayelsa, was wondering why a second term governor is defecting. But you don't know the political calculations. We don't know the concessions that he was being given. We don't know the agreements that the ruling Progressive Congress is giving to him. And again, the PDP has become too much of a hot seat for anybody to just sit idle and wait for his fate, because most of the governors are no longer in control of what's happening in the party. The party has been, desecrated, basically dismantled. What we use in the financial sector, asset stripping. I think that is what has also happened to PDP, because the Damango-led executive at the national level, I think he's also intent on, dismantling PDP. Because how else will you explain the fact that you are allowing your governors, who are the party leaders in the sub-regional, to be, going away, and there's nothing you're doing about it? You just issue press conference. Instead of you even having a reconciliatory tone, you are even, sometimes smearing at them and laughing at them, mocking at them. So it's either the national chairman of PDP is bent on burying the party, or somebody should give me another explanation. Under a full year now, we are witnessing the campaign in we have witnessed Delta, we have witnessed Akwa Ibom, we have witnessed Enugu, we are talking about Taraba, we are talking about Bayelsa. How can you lose 5 governors in a year and we are still counting? And that means the party itself is on the road to perdition, because that is the only way I can explain it. And most politicians will not just sit down in a place where they don't take decisions, or where they are not part of the consultations before. You just hear things in the national television or newspaper as anybody else. So maybe that is also part of it, even though he's a second-term governor. But what kind of influence does he wield, both at the national level of the PDP and at his state? The National Working Committee or the executive doing things behind his back in his state. So these are the things that inform some of those things. Because for a politician, it's about self-perpetuation and preservation. And once that is not gotten, of course, he moves to a better place for himself or herself.
I thought it was going to be moving for the people. But again, they always find a way to say the people said, agreed, and all of that. But the Vanguard newspaper...
The people have voted them in, so they are representing the people.
Very interesting angle there. But Vanguard newspaper leads also with Obi Dixon ADC, rail against spate of defections to APC. Nobody can capture Southeast with defections, says Peter Obi. Tinubu's one-party state unfolding, ADC. I remain firmly with PDP Dixon, and 3 more PDP governors will resign soon. Fayose. I want to speak to, or I want you to speak to Mr. Peter Obi's comments. Clearly, his Southeast votes are being threatened right now. You're speaking from Enugu. You saw what played out some days ago with Governor Peter Mbah. So there is really no PDP governor in the Southeast anymore. One Labour Party governor, ABGA, the rest APC. So just how threatened do you think Mr. Peter Obi feels right now?
Well, what's propelled Peter Obi in 2023 to national consciousness is the obedience movement, which was a conglomeration of supporters from different political parties. And, after that obedience movement, after the elections have been decided, we could say, fragmentation of that movement, and some of them dissolved into their party. Remember that Obi then said that they were just supporting P2B, and when it became time for the state governors election, they all supported their party, and the obedient movement, as you said, suffered serious consequences after that. So they are not as strong as it was in 2023, and that is going to really affect the outcomes. Then also, talking about the person of Mr. P2B, whom I have a lot of respect for, but he's not in a position to, catechize or lecture people about moving from one political party to another, because his own trajectory also supports that movement. From ABGA, he went to PDP. When PDP was not a comfortable place, just like what they are doing now, when it was a turn of the PDP to give the presidential secretary to the Southeast, and P2B was positioned for that, they denied him of it, and he had to leave to a Labour Party. So we now found out that it is where you want, where the platform that gives you the opportunity to actualize your vision, your political vision, that you move to. Hence, P2B has been in the 3 political parties since he came into politics sometime in 2005, 2006. So you can see that it's a culture. And then when one politician starts saying, why are you defecting? It's only the only person I know that can make that kind of statement is President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, whom even when I was living in Lagos, we knew him from 1998. He has been AD. They just changed political names of the party to AC, ACN, and then he joined others to form another political party called the APC. So he's the only, national politician that can really come out to, lecture people about how not to decamp. Most others have really left and, sought greener pastures from outside the political party that bested their political movement.
Oh, interesting analysis there. But maybe the FCT minister will also want to beat his chest and say, I've stayed with the PDP, except that he's working with the APC. In fact, Mr. Peter Obi, some may want to add the ADC as well, because he's also fraternizing with the ADC. But very interesting times we're in with the political landscape. But that's a big story on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper today.
And The Guardian is next. You talked about Mr. Peter Obi. That's quite a lot as far as Mr. Peter Obi is concerned that is being reported on the front page of The Guardian. But not just him, but also other political actors. As you would see, look at the headlines. Obi, Atiku's 2027 bids wobble as defections, internal strife rock LP PDP. There's something else that is just at the bottom of the big pictures on the front page of The Guardian. Wike mocks defectors as Diri dumps PDP with 21 Bayelsa lawmakers. So there are 2 issues that you'll be speaking to there. The chances of the big political actors who want to go up against President Bola Tinubu in 2027. And of course, Mr. Wike, how much paradox do you see in what he said yesterday when he declared that those who were criticizing him for destabilizing the party are now moving over to the party, to the Rolling All Progressives Congress, and as such, they should be thanking him for a job well done? Dr. Igboke.
I think it's a conceited language in self-adulation for Wike to say that. I would believe that the men who moved have more balls than he does, because he has not made an official movement to APC yet. He's doing the hand of Esau and the voice of Jacob. And so that is not the way to act as a man. So when you talk of men who have moved, there are men who have conviction and said, okay, we are leaving this party. Instead of staying within the party and doing anti-party activities, this man said, okay, we are moving. And so we give kudos to men, to the governors or men who moved. And so that is the hallmark of decisiveness. You don't stay in one political party and you're working for another and you're causing confusion in the political party and claiming that you're a member of the party. So for those he's mocking, they are far better than he is in this aspect we are talking about. So he should rather mock himself for being ambivalent. He doesn't know where he belongs. But for the men like Peter Mba, for Emmanuel Eno, for Governor Riri, and some other people who made the effort to move. That is a hallmark of decisiveness. So we should give them kudos rather than this paradox that Wike is trying to paint. He should move if he has conviction like those men. Then when it comes to 2027 and other political leaders in other parties, jittery, they have to be jittery because in the history of Nigeria politics, this kind of movements have not really happened where just 2 years. So in fact, we are talking about National Assembly. If National Assembly passes the bill they are trying to pass and it works, election may be next year. So just a year or so to elections, and people are heavyweights. The governors in Nigeria's politics, you know, they are one of the biggest assets to any political movement. And when you have the governor of a state and a political party, that means the state is, it will be, in that political party. So any president will want a governor to be on his side. So if Bola Ahmed Tinubu is having governors on his side now and is making that movement happen, then he's going to, of course, have the political currency to outsmart the other candidates. And that is why people like Atiku are jittery, because this is a movement that may eventually knock them out of the political equation. So there should be, and they should talk. Unfortunately, the opposition has not been able to get itself together. There are fragmentations within and even between them, and that is why the ruling party is coasting away with all these assets that have been added to them.
This is while there's a sort of jamboree in the political space. Nigerian students in the public universities are at home, and that's one of the stories on the front page of Leadership newspaper. Yes, it speaks to the inflation stories, also speaks to the resignation of Governor Diri. But Leadership also includes strike. Students give lecturers, government 7 days to resolve dispute. It's just at the top right corner of the front page of a Leadership newspaper. As they say on the street, like play, this strike don't enter 4 days now. And it looks like there's a lot of silence to that, and that really speaks volumes, Dr. Bokeh, doesn't it?
Well, I'm happy that it's just a warning strike of 2 weeks, and that is not a permanent strike that we drag consistently. But this, prevalence of strike coming on and on, it's supposed something to be, done and dusted with. I don't think the federal government should be flexing muscles or should be trying to intimidate the union. And there are just basic things that the federal government have agreed to. It was also reviewed and agreed. Why not just implement those things? The things they're asking for are not too much. They are, a fraction, a very mini fraction of our budgetary allocation for the government, federal government, even the state government. So why not just, acquiesce to the requests of ASUU and, let them be paid well. Imagine that, a professor is earning just like $300. I mean, what does his counterpart out there earn, even in African countries? Go to Kenya. We have a lot of Nigerians studying and teaching in Kenya. Go to South Africa, even Ghana here. They are earning, salaries, people are earning up to $1,500, $2,000, professors. And our professors are earning just $300 or maximum $350. That is not fair. And these are people who have put all their lifeline. These are the intelligentsia of the country, the people who power the disruptive innovations that we're supposed to have for the 20. Nothing wrong with our system.
Right.
If you go to Japan, the primary school teachers are the best paid, but here in Nigeria, the teachers are the worst paid. There's something definitely wrong with our development agenda, and we need to relook at that and see, evaluate it, and make sure that these ASUU people don't go to strike again by acquiescing to their.
Right, seem to have lost connection there with Dr. Bokeh, who's just speaking about the strike. Okay, you can land on your thoughts, Dr. Bokeh.
No, I was saying that in Japan, the highest paid people are the teachers. But in Nigeria, the least paid people are the teachers. And when we continue with this kind of attitude, that means our foundation for for innovation, our foundation for getting a better future of this country, for creativity, will be lost. Because the teachers, we are losing a lot of our intelligentsia, and it should worry.
All right. I think that's a great place to
federal government should
it.
just agree to what the ASUU.
Right. I must say that even there's some sort of complaints, I should say, about the wages in Japan for the teachers. So it's quite interesting that wherever you turn to, yes, teachers, we recognize that they should be well paid because of the role they play, but when it comes to the actual payment, it's not the same. And I must say that you've spoken well for your constituency, Dr. Buke, being a lecturer yourself. So I'm sure the constituency is proud of you as what should be done. But on a final note, we must not leave without speaking about what played out in Enugu State, your own state, just right there under your nose, Dr. Buke. The governor is now a member of the APC. I know we touched on it earlier, but what is the atmosphere like now? Is Enugu now APC all of a sudden? Fully APC after that love affair with PDP that lasted for the longest time?
Well, even the governor in his speech was very, meditative on the fact that, that it's not about gloating or whatever, that he cherished the relationship the state and himself had with the PDP. Remember, he was also a former commissioner around 20 years ago in the PDP government of Chimaroke Namani. He was also a chief of staff. So he has a very long relationship with PDP. Some people just thought that it was this governorship election that made him a relation that he started. No, he didn't. He had a long. So it's a time for Enugu people. It's a time of sober reflection for the APC member of assets, and then I was joking with somebody yesterday, and he was saying that I hope people will not be in APC meeting as I'll start shouting PDP, and we had a good laugh. But it is because PDP has been entrenched for long, in Enugu State. So it will take some time to sink in. It will take a long period. It will not be short, but I do recommend that the state government should pour in seriously into advocacy visits down to the grassroots, so that the people can understand that they have left the umbrella and they are now waving the brooms.
Very interesting line there. They have left the umbrella and they're now holding the brooms. We have to thank you so much for your time. As always, we've been speaking with Dr. Ambrose Igboke, Media Consultant Chairman, Guild of Public Affairs Analysts of Nigeria, Enugu Chapter. Thank you once again.
Thank you for having me on the show this morning.
Well, you can guess where we're starting off from this morning. The concerns about a one-party state. We hear that the projections are that before 2027, the APC will have at least 30 governors. So where does that leave opposition, having a robust democracy? We'll have an intellectual joining us next on the program. So please stay with us. We'll be right back. Concerns about one-party state or not, this is a conversation you do not want to miss. We're joined on the program this morning by Professor Ademola Abbas, a professor of international law and the director of the Progressive Institute, joins us virtually. You're welcome to the program, Professor Abbas.
Hello, good morning, Coyote. Hope you can hear me.
Oh, yes, loud and clear. I don't know where you belong on this divide, particularly the concerns about Nigeria inching gradually towards a one-party state. For those who are concerned, the fear is that A one-party state usually leads to dictatorship with minimal representation. And at that point, corruption thrives, power is concentrated just in a center, and that usually does not augur well. So, should the parties, particularly the ruling party, really be celebrating now with all of the moves into the APC, or be cautious of what the future holds?
Well, thank you very much, Coyote, and thanks for having me on here today. Well, if I were the ruling party, I would be celebrating. Nothing stops me from celebrating if other people are joining me from other parties. That means I must be doing something very good. That is to start with. Because you cannot be criticizing me and be joining me at the same time is contradictory. So if you are criticizing me that I'm not doing well and you are joining me, it means, prima facie, I'm saying, other reasons could be there. Prima facie is either you are lying that I'm not doing well, or other reasons are prompting you. But whatever is prompting you, whether you are lying or other things are prompting you, the point is you are joining my party. And I'll be happy that you are joining me. If I were APC, obviously, APC have a right to celebrate. Whether that now translates to throwing away the safety and the caution that we've built in our constitutions against a one-party state is a different thing. It's a different conversation to be had. But your question is whether APC should be celebrating or should be cautious. I would say nothing stop APC or any party for that matter who finds itself in the position of APC today in which other people from other parties are joining it. Why should there's no reason it shouldn't celebrate. But as I said, that does not mean that as a party, whether you are APC or PDP or whatever you are, that you should not take certain precautions to make sure that the kind of democracy we want to have in Nigeria thrives.
You know, about 15 years ago from today, would you have thought that the PDP that was the ruling party, so powerful, so influential, and which is its former national chairman at one time said the PDP was in fact going to rule for 60 years. Would you have thought that today the PDP would have diminished up to this point?
Bukola, I believe that question is for me because I lost you for a second, right?
Indeed. I was talking about how we got here in the first place. The PDP was the former ruling party. Would you have thought about 15 years ago or more to today that the PDP would have diminished to this point, such that we can understand how we got here?
Thank you very much. I heard your question. Just wanted to be sure that it was meant for me. Look, you are right. At the peak of its power, the PDP made it loud and clear that it will rule for 60 years or something like that. We always say in the parlance of cliches that the only permanent thing in life is change. I mean, let's be cliche about it for a second. So you could be most powerful today and you change. I mean, go back to the UK in the days of Margaret Thatcher. You have one party in government for 15 years or 17 years and they change, somebody holds it for 4 years. So all these things are very normal. The dynamics of any society are always very fluid. I mean, political parties are not immune to these dynamics. You know, what is important, though, is, and as you've said, the PDP was a very powerful party. And that is why when people talk about one-party state, non-one-party state, and all this stuff, I'm sure we'll come to that discussion. Don't forget, in countries that you have one-party state, and there are very few in the world today, I'm talking about countries that have classical one-party state. You talk about, in China, Cuba, Laos, Sahara Republic in Africa here, and a few others. There are not very many of them. They have one-party state, the proper one-party state. What is normally happen is that you have a major dominant party in power, which is the only recognized party anyway, the only legislated party in a country. Other parties don't simply exist. Then you have countries that practice pseudo one-party states, in which you have one major dominant party. Unofficially, obviously, it's a kind of unofficial one-party state because it's a multi-plural society. But then you have one party that is very dominant. Then you have other parties that are there. But why you have such a system is that, or what you have in such a system is that the other non-dominant party are also very, very small compared to a big party. Today, PDP is not a small party. It's as big as APC. Forget about the governors, the campaign, and this and that. In terms of number, probably it's as big as APC in terms of number, or at least maybe if there will be difference, the difference does not justify the kind of classification we begin to give it. at the end of the day. So what is important in all this is to understand that APC and PDP are two major parties in Nigeria. Any of them could switch, position. And that is what you're asking. That 15 years ago, nobody would have thought, to be honest with you, nobody would have projected to say PDP of probably pre-2015 will find itself where it got it today. But then you begin to ask your question, why? Is it the role of complacency on the party of PDP, which it had at that point in time? Is it the role of the fact that there have been major internal crisis in the party itself? They've gone through about 5 or 6 chairmen in the last, probably since 2015 election. So you have to be able to understand all those. Yes, so nobody will have projected its trajectory to this point, but notwithstanding, it is not extraordinary and it is not out from the outer space. It is within a political culture and within entrenched dynamics of a society.
All right, Prof. I was reading through Senator Ben Murabruce's statement on his, entry now or joining the APC. And he started his tweet now on his post on X by eulogizing President Bola Tinubu. He started by saying, I have known the president since 1998. I know the man's mind, his courage, his conviction. He's not driven by applause. He's driven by results. I can boldly say he's on the right track. And it almost seems as though the president has a personality that is able to sway anyone. We've seen some of his strongest critics now becoming some of his strongest supporters, up to the point that some of them are even his spokesperson right now. So what is it really? And I want us to speak to that, about the president, that he's able to sway people from governors to lawmakers, almost anybody. Is that something about him?
Well, Coyote, I'm very happy you asked this question, and I'll tell you why. If you remember, I had some interviews with you in the run-up to the elections. I'm sure Bukola was there too. And I think off stage, you were asking me, I think it was live, you asked me a question of the candidates, who will I choose among the 3 leading candidates? President Bola Tinubu, not president then, Alhaji Atiku, and Peter Obi. And I posed some questions back to you to answer the question. I said, I asked myself a simple question. At this point in Nigerian democracy and life, who, as a Nigerian, am I looking for to govern me? I said, number one, I want somebody who can take bold decisions, who can make bold policies that we badly need in the country. Subsidy is one of them. The issue of dollar, the issue of foreign exchange is one of them, and so many others. I said, that's number one. And I said, number two, I'm looking for somebody that when political pressures will come to that person in office, the person will have the gravitas, will have the ability, will have the courage to be able to face those challenges head on and move on. And I did say that. And I said the third one for me is who among the 3 has been most consistent, and I broke everything down to you. And I'm happy one of your guys, I think the gentleman from the academia who you had on paper review said something, I think it was him that said that this morning, which I said then, that of all the 3 persons, it's only Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu who has been consistent in a single party. From this to ACN, from ACN to APC, he has never jumped ship. That is consistency as far as I'm concerned, no matter what anybody says. In terms of boldness, I think whether you like him or not, whether you like his policies or not, is exerting some courage, which Ben Bruce spoke to, in terms of taking some bold decisions and making some bold policies. These are policies and decisions that people who are not very courageous, who are not very bold, who probably do not actually genuinely have the interest of their country at heart. And make no mistake, I'm not saying President Asiwaju is an angel, far from it. There are no angels among men. But I'm saying, as far as politics is concerned, he has justified that kind of confidence I expressed on television then, that is bold, is courageous, and we need bold, courageous leaders in Nigeria today. So when you look at people, the camping, and in terms of swaying, now you don't even need anybody to sweet talk you to sway you. And that is the point. I might belong to PDP today or Labour Party or APC or whatever, but nothing stops me if I'm looking at the opposition, I'm looking at the other party, and I'm thinking, this person in the other party is doing what I would have been supporting him to do if I were in his party. But I'm in the opposition. He might not listen to me, or he might think, and because of the kind of politics we play in Nigeria anyway, which is almost zero-sum, I might be thinking, what? I'm going to join this person to be able. So at the end of the day, I'm looking at how can I join forces with him to build a stronger Nigeria. So don't be surprised that, and I remember I told somebody a few months ago, I still remember a couple of people, I said, look, many governors are going to join Asiwaju. Sorry, are going to join the APC, that is Asiwaju's party. And the person said, why? I said, look, for me, it's very simple. If you are genuine as a governor, you're leading a state, and you're beginning to see that if you're in a position wherever you are in, and you see that, look, whoever is in power, you may not like him, but you like his policies, and you like his principles, you like his decisions, and you do an assessment and you think, you know what, if I join forces with this person, we are likely to build a stronger country for the future generations of my children and children. Why wouldn't I support him? So I'm not surprised. Make no mistake. In terms of economies, even international bodies are beginning to pay attention to Nigeria, that we are making some moves now, some positive. And I said it again on one of your programs that you invited me to. I said, look, we are very impatient in Nigeria. Reforms are hard. Make no mistake. They are hard for people to swallow because as Nigerians, we have been living well above our means. At a point in time, we were importing toothpicks into Nigeria, and everybody who had 500,000 naira wanted to import a second-hand car from overseas. We've forgotten that for every toothpick you imported into this country, for every second-hand car you imported into this country, somebody had to pay for it. Eventually, the government will have to pay for it. People who had no business with dollars, they were importing dollars. They were hoarding dollars in those days. So we needed all these things to be dealt with by somebody who is courageous and not easily distracted. But there's so much cacophony of noises going on in the last few by people who I'm just speaking my mind. People who are losers at the end of the day, people who have been there, who have been in government positions and who have destroyed the country to this point, and they've been making noise and be parading themselves as if they are angels. So the truth is, at the end of the day, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the president of Nigeria, does not even need to speak to anybody to sway. If you love Nigeria, if you genuinely love this country, and you understand that when we embark on reforms, you don't get the reforms of a government in just 1 year or even 1 year. Let me be honest with you. All the reforms that the President Asiwaju administration is doing today, we may not begin to even see the result until the next 2-3 years. It's a fact. President Trump came to America. He inherited reforms put in place by Obama. Now they begin to reap that. But the credit goes to President Trump. Reforms are not something you do today, get a result tomorrow. You cannot malign a country for almost 50 or 60 years. You cannot destroy a country projectively for almost 50 or 50, and then suddenly you think a government will come and fix it in 4 years. It doesn't work like that. The best, I think, APC government can do today, and which I think is trying to do, is to lay a solid foundation for a future, solid and prosperous Nigeria that other governments can come and build upon. So the focus should be who comes next. Because we have 4 years in democracy. If APC gets a second term, you have at least maximum of 8 years. But at the end of the day, what can that actually do? It's at best lay some serious foundations in terms of the infrastructural development of the country, instead of realigning the economy and reorientating ourselves as a people, to begin to think more positively about our country and to begin to see that, all these reforms are necessary. They are going to bite in the meantime, but in the long term, we are going to have the dividends of them.
Well, Dr. Abbas, you spoke about the destruction of the country. One thing is clear, our memory must not fail us about the colors of the political parties that failed the country, even though there's now some distancing by members of the All Progressives Congress as to who should take responsibility. Some are saying that, administrations should bear their father's name now. And, Nigerians understand, have a sense of history about what happened. But if we must look critically at whether or not the people who are defecting, the governors who are defecting, are moving because they're enamored about the statesmanship and the unique governance approach of this current president, shall we also look at it against the backdrop of the comments that are coming through from politicians of the opposition party? I refer again to Senator Seriake Dixon, who said yesterday that there is no need for a second-term governor to defect. And former Governor Ayofayoshi also said that he stood strong and tall at the thick of the Buhari administration when he was the main opposition who kept speaking against that government. And in fact, they reached out to him to defect such that his troubles would be over, but he weathered the storm. So shall we say that it is the style of the executive to put pressure on the opposition such that their own ranks can be swelled, and then they would have their way at the polls?
Bukola, brilliant question. I am not going to keep glory. Look, it is the strategy of every political party to maximize its membership. That is across the world, whether you like it or not. So let's run away from that. But we cannot pedestrianize certain arguments. I have listened to arguments on many channels, on many TV stations saying, oh, it is because those governors don't want to face the corruption charges. That's why they are defecting to APC. Of course, some statements made by some people like Adam Oshiomhole, saying that when you come to APC, your sins are forgiven. Such statements do not help. But I'm not, as a person, bothered by such statements. It is normal in the character of politicians to make wild, statements. So I don't really lose any sleep about that. But I look at one thing. If anybody is telling me today that, oh, well, it is because a governor doesn't want to be prosecuted, that's why he's joining APC or PDP, wherever he's joining, I would say, well, I remember in 2011, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was prosecuted for, I think, running about 10 bank accounts overseas when he was the governor of Lagos State. He was prosecuted by the ICPC. They prosecuted him. Eventually, he was discharged and acquitted. But when he was being prosecuted, he didn't jump bail. He didn't join ship. He didn't join another party entirely. He didn't go to another party. And you can replicate those that particular example. So I think we have come to it. We've become very cynical, and I've said this several times. We've become very cynical of ourselves as a people. I'm not saying that whether you are APC or PDP, you have no incentive to cajole or to pressure, other people from other parties to join you. What is important is that what kind of pressure are you using? Are you using constitutional or unconstitutional pressures? If I come out and I talk to you as a governor and say, look, why don't you come and join me? You are an opposition party. I know what you are doing, but what you are doing cannot really make as maximum effect on Nigeria, impact on Nigerians. Why don't you come and join me and let's build a stronger Nigeria? If I talk to you and you want to say, you know what? As I said later, I see what you are doing, I'm going to join you. I have no problem with that. What I have problem with, though, is if there is an evidence, a credible evidence, somebody coming out to say, you know what, Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration has promised Delta governor that if you come and join me, we will not prosecute you, or we are going to do this, or things that are unconstitutional. Bring the evidence, and I will say that is not as acceptable from any corner of the country. But so in terms of, things will fly, rumors will fly. Why is this person joining and this and that? What is important? In all this carpet crossing that we've had so far, nobody for once has mentioned one thing. That is it possible that a governor is joining from PDP, joining APC, or from APC joining PDP because there is a rethinking about the ideological leaning of that particular governor? That question does not arise. You know why? Because Nigerian political parties are not really grounded in disparate ideological differences. And that is why, go to America today. You cannot wake up, you can't go to bed as a Democrat and wake up as a Republican. Right. It is suicidal. It is the first evidence that something is not right with you mentally. Because each party in such systems, whether you're America or you're in Britain, in Britain, each party is denominated by very core ideological principles and beliefs. Some of them are religious. So you are neoliberal, you are very liberal, you are to the left when you are in the Democratic Party. So you believe in abortion, you believe in this and this. You don't believe in all those in the Republican Party. Same thing in the UK, whether you are in Labour and you are the Conservative. But those are countries where ideology is well entrenched in their political culture. We don't have that here. So let me come back to the person, somebody saying that, as a second-term governor, there's no reason for you to. Why not? I'm saying, if I'm a second-term governor, does it take away from my right of freedom of association under the Nigerian Constitution? When that provision was put in the Constitution, they didn't say, oh, by the way, the exception is if you are a second-term governor, you cannot change party, you cannot change association. Parties are associations. I can change. I am right. Look, if there was an intention to stop anybody from changing from one party to another, mind you, not that I support sometimes the very indisciplined and unprincipled carpet crossing going on in Nigeria. And I'm not talking about just between PDP or just to APC. Even for that, and I'm about to somebody mentioned the last speaker, I think the gentleman from the academia, said that Peter Obi is not the person to lecture Nigeria about the consequences about jumping this and that. He's one of the most profligacious, carpet crosser in the country. And so many of them, even Alhaji Atiku has carpet crossed so many times. Well, so let's keep our focus, on the reasons. Let's ask a question. What are the fundamental reasons that people carpet cross instead of wasting too much time on this governor joining this? They have their right under the Constitution. Being a governor does not mean that I don't have my right to join an association. A party is an association.
Okay, very interesting angle. But while Nigerian political parties may not have ideologies, they at least have logos which are different from each other. That's something to hold on to. And what is being said now is that the logo of the APC is now looking like an umbrella with a broom as a handle. Because increasingly now, the APC is looking like the PDP. So I don't know if you see that, but isn't that going back to where we're coming from? If more PDP is joining the APC, very soon now, it will become a broom. Maybe it's just the colors that will remain, but the logo will now become a broom. Prof. The logo will become an umbrella rather, not a broom. I understand what I mean.
I understand it. No matter how you permitted this, look, call a rose by any other name. It doesn't stop it from being a rose. It doesn't stop the quality of roseness in it. Look, I stopped worrying, to be honest with you, about logos and names of politics in Nigeria in the 60s. We keep forgetting that the only party in Nigeria that was bold enough to actually say who it was the MPC. In those days, they called itself Northern People Congress. That was a party that ruled Nigeria, by the way. It was a Northern People Congress. No other party in Nigeria so circumscribed itself to a particular region in terms of name. That did not take away from the fact that the MPC ruled Nigeria under Tafawa Balewa and Alhaji Sadan of Sokoto in those days. You can change any name. We have the NCNC, Nigerian Cameroon, and so on and so forth. So, and you understand what we were saying. Logo can change. People can join. If they like, they can implant the umbrella on top of a broom or put broom under the umbrella. The question is, what does your party stand for? And I've stopped bothering about whether you are APC or you are PDP or you are RIP. Whatever you want to be, I don't really care about it. What I care, and I'm happy somebody asked earlier on, where are the people in this? Where are Nigerians in this? What is in Nigerians in all of these carpet crossing? I think that is one conversation we need to be asking, Coyote and Kola. Let's stop wasting our time on this governor as carpet cross from PDP to APC, from APC.
Here, Prof. Pardon me, Prof. The point here is that Nigerians in 2015 came together and said, no more PDP. Now, there were certain people in the PDP, both at the national and state level, that Nigerians were saying no to, including the president. Right? We had governors, we had lawmakers who were in the PDP, and Nigerians said no to them. But the point I'm making now is those same people that Nigerians said no to then have now found their way into the APC, which is why I say, aren't we back to where we are coming from?
Fantastic. The Constitution is loud and clear on what should happen to your governor or your House of Representative member or whoever who is elected on the platform of one party, then carpet cross or decamp to another party, except in those circumstances that are clearly enumerated under the Constitution in terms of whether there's an internal crisis or that party has seized or not. And that is why we need to put pressure on our core. Because at the end of the day, the people who said no to them can say, you know what, we said no to you in PDP or in APC, but you've gone out from PDP that we elected you on to go and join APC. So because of that, we are going to recall. There's a right to recall. We are going to go to court to challenge that in the first place. That carpet crossing does not reflect the mandate that we give you. It's inconsistent with our mandate. So we are going to go to court. And that is where Nigerians need to put pressure on their judicial system, our judiciary, the judicial system. That is the last hope of the common man, literally so. Because at the end of the day, if the judiciary is balkanized, then the country is in trouble. So, and for me, so the people have two things to do. Number one is to punish, and either by recalling or by going to court against those people that, we may say we are, what would the court do? Because we have become very cynical. You're asking that question because we don't really trust the court in Nigeria anymore. But I do, but most people don't, and I understand. Right. We don't trust the court anymore in Nigeria. That's one. Two, people have their right at the end of the day, in the next 4 years or in the next 2 years, 2027, to vote. But then you might say, if they vote again and the same thing happens. But it's a political culture. It's evolving. And that is the point. It is an evolving system. We cannot wake up. People say Rome was not, built in a day, but nor was Rome destroyed in a day. It takes time for all these things to mature. So I'm saying that there are constitutional guarantees against what we are having now, against us going back to where we used to be, as you said, Kyle, and I agree with that. And that is that you can use either the power of recall, or the people can say, you know what, we elected you on the basis of Party A, because we didn't want you to be on Party B. But now, having elected on Party A, you've carpet crossed to Party B, and we are going to make sure we recall you. The Constitution guarantees that you can go to court and challenge it. And that has happened in this country before. I think we have become more cynical now in the 2023, 24, 25 or thereabout about the judiciary than what we used to be. What we need is to focus more in building a stronger judiciary for ourselves, because at the end of the day, the board is going to stop on their table when it comes to interpreting the Constitution, interpreting the law, and interpreting the activities of politicians and political parties in Nigeria. Make no mistake, Nigerian politicians are some of the most indisciplined I've seen in the world, and I say it categorically. Whether you're in PDP, APC, Labour Party, RIP, call it anything, they are some of the most indisciplined. They do things without a sense of shame sometimes. And
all right, Dr. Bass, you talked about recall and the judiciary. You and I know what the realities are as against what is on paper. But you talked about something that is also very critical, that we should be talking about the interest of the people in the mix of this conversation. And relatedly is the danger of a one-party state. In hushed tones, members of the PDP, whose principals are moving to the APC, are talking about the possibility of an implosion, which is inevitable amid this defection. Aren't you worried about the risk of intolerance to dissent, as we have seen in other one-party state countries like North Korea, like China? Aren't you worried that that could be the destination that Nigeria is headed if this trend, this political trend, continues?
Well, Bukola, thank you very much. Again, very, very poignant question. First, let me do a clarification. You refer to China and co, China, Cuba, whatever. Look, these are officially one-party states. Nigeria can never be officially a one-party state. Not because our constitution legislates against it. And let me clarify that. When people say that, by virtue of our constitution, you can't be a one-party in Nigeria, there is no provision in Nigerian constitution that says Nigeria cannot be a one-party state. None. In fact, the only thing that guarantees against one-party state in Nigeria, if you must know it, is the section, I think section 66 of section 1, paragraph G of our constitution, that talks about the fact that a party, somebody who is elected on a party cannot carpet cross to another party. So you only infer from that if he's talking about you cannot carpet cross, it simply means that you cannot join another party. That's section 68 1G of the Constitution. And that is the only thing you can hang on to, because otherwise, if it had been one state, you cannot carpet one party state, you cannot carpet cross within one party state. So it's only by inference to section 68, subsection 1, paragraph G of the Constitution that you can say that the Constitution does not allow one party state, but it does not say it clearly in any particular provision. It only says that you cannot carpet cross, or you must have at least two parties before you can carpet cross. That is only, let me clarify that. But constitutionally, nothing prohibits the one party state. Having said that, you refer to China. China is an officially one-party state. Only one party exists in that particular country. So it is possible to have totalitarianism, autocracy, and what have you. But also you have countries that are not one-party states. Take America, for instance. Under Donald Trump today, US is not a one-party state officially, but the Republican Party has become the most dominant party in the country, as completely subjugated Democratic Party at the end of the day. And what you have today is, you're talking about autocracy, you're talking about authoritarianism. Do you think you can ask yourself a serious question that in America we have today, you haven't got an autocracy going on or some pseudo-totalitarianism going on? Everything in the US has been subjugated, but even the judiciary now is the last baton. Don't forget, you have a president who regularly abuses judges openly, and you see it, Kyle, you see it on a daily basis. Abuses them when they don't give judgment that he wants to see. He will call them names, he will call them corrupt judges. But if this happens in Africa, we'll be heaping curses and names, we'll be calling them names. We'll be calling our judges names. And that's another thing. We are quick to destroy ourselves. But because it's happening in America, nobody's saying anything. Donald Trump government has overrun the DOJ, has overrun the other day, don't forget, he went after, this popular journalist, or the night TV host, so many of them. So what are the indices of totalitarianism you are talking about? Meanwhile, the US is one of probably the strongest democracy in the world, has some of the robust, institutions, democratic institutions that can checkmate. But you have a powerful government, a powerful president that's almost overrun everything completely. That tells you one thing, Bukola and Coyote. It tells you that move beyond normal nomenclature, whether you're a one-party state or you are not one-party state. Let's focus more on what is the role of democratic institutions that are supposed to guide against whether you're a one-party state or a multi-party state. Let me flip it. You mentioned China. China is a one-party state officially. China today has some of the best infrastructure in the world. China today has one of the best technological advancements in the world and has a military might that even its worst adversaries cannot take on easily. That is a one-party state. What has Nigeria benefited from multi-party state? By the way, I'm not saying we shouldn't be a multi-party. That's not the argument, before anybody misquote me. But I'm saying, I focus too much on whether you are one party or you are multi-party or you two-party. You lose something in the process. You lose the focus on what should a party in government be doing to its people. I care more about that.
And
the form. If you have lawyers among you in law, we talk about equity, looking at intention, not the form. Street common law rules, look at the form. Oh, when I want to buy my house, did my wife contribute a penny to it? She didn't contribute a penny. Okay, if you are going to divorce and they go to court, she goes to common law. Common law says, sorry, madam, you did not have a penny in this house, so you cannot get a penny. But she's been my wife for 25 or 30, 50 years. She goes to court of equity. What will court of equity say? We say, oh, you know what, Professor Abbas, your wife did not contribute a penny when you were buying the house. But it was an intention to build a home with you. When you are working, she was running your home. She was buying milk for the house. She was looking after your children. So she must be presumed to have an equitable interest in that property, even though she didn't sign a form when you bought it. That is equitable interest.
All right, Prof.
Equity looks at the intention, not the form. So we should be looking at the intention of the party, what the party is doing, not whether you are one party or not. And I'm not saying there shouldn't be constitutional guarantees, but the guarantee should not be whether you are one party or you are two party or this now. We've seen state and multi-party data.
It's always an interesting conversation with you. We talk politics, we're talking marital affairs now, but it's still linked. But about the intention, and it goes back to that same question I asked. If those same people are now in the APC, does that mean that indeed their sins are forgiven, so we can assume that their intention is now right for Nigerians? But don't answer that, Prof. This is an ongoing conversation, but I think ultimately what should matter to Nigerians is the results, the outcome. So we look at the economy, we look at security, we look at all of the basics, infrastructure, and they look good. That will then be the major issue there. We've been speaking with Professor Ademola Abbas, Professor of International Law, Director of Administration, the Progressive Institute. Thank you for your time.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Quite an interesting conversation, but that's not all. We zoom in on the Bayelsa situation. What is the obvious reasons that Governor Diri mentioned? That's in a moment. Stay with us.
Welcome back. There are more interesting conversations to come as far as defection. We'll be headed to Bayelsa in a moment to look at Governor Diri's planned move to another party. Of course, he's resigned from the PDP. But just before that, let's take some of your thoughts about some of the stories that came through yesterday. And former Governor of Rivers State and Minister of the FCT had a lot of talking to do at a project launch in the federal capital yesterday, and he spoke to his critics. He said that for those who have been criticizing him and saying that I am the one destabilizing the party, that they are now moving to the All Progressives Congress, and as a result, they should be thanking him for working very hard for them. Very interesting comment. And he also added by saying politics is for the mature. But let's listen to Minister Nyesom Wike, and then we'll be right back to take some of your thoughts.
I want to destabilize the party. I'm working for APC. All of them now are in APC. so, which means if it is true, they should commend me for working for where they are heading to.
Well, Minister Nyesom Wike always seizes the moment to speak his mind, no filters. But what are you saying about his comment? Let's start with Adeola V, who says, politics in Nigeria is like musical chairs. 1 minute you're shouting, next minute you're clapping together. Well, Vice President Kashim Shettima also said that Governor Peter Mbah must have had a broom under his umbrella all along. So that's the nature of politics, particularly in the last 1 year. Kayode, you have the next one.
Yeah, and interestingly, the name of this user is Laugh and Learn. Says, that's politics. No permanent enemies, only permanent interests. Now you could see the FCT minister chuckling there. That's from Laugh and Learn, by the way. That's a second comment on that. You could see the FCT minister there chuckling when he made this statement, saying they should thank him for doing the work for them. There's still questions that loom large. Is he going to join the APC himself? When is he going to join the APC officially? Right, because for a lot of people, the statement carried, for example, the governor of Bayelsa State officially resigned. So a lot of them had actually left before. So what we're seeing is just the official thing. So for the FCT minister, would there be an official movement to the APC? For the governor of Rivers State, Siminalayi Fubara, will he stay in the PDP or move to the APC officially now? Now, those are the questions, but hey, that's what Nigerians are saying about this.
Not many Nigerians are receiving his comment, with as much, how would I put it now? With, they're not embracing his comment. You recall what Dr. Igboki said earlier, condemning it outright and calling him out for his role in the People's Democratic Party's woes. And if you look at politics in Rivers State as well, questions are being asked as to who exactly is leading the All Progressives Congress in Rivers. Is it the APC loyal to Minister Nyesom Wike, or is it the APC loyal to the original structure of that party in the state? So you think again when he says, or he pushes back on the criticism that he's the one responsible for destabilizing the PDP. So why does he seem to be the one holding the All Progressives Congress structure in Rivers State? So you think twice before you take his comments wholesale. And then when he says politics is for the mature, it's also another comment that you will unpack and think about the many levels to what maturity means. Does it mean then that you have to be adept at politicking such that you're ready, to weather the storm, whatever it is, or you have to play the ball, be diplomatic? So there's so many levels to the comment. But then again, Nigerians are viewing it and we'll see how this all plays out in 2027. But there are more comments as far as the defection from yesterday, and one came from former governor of Anambra State, Mr. Peter Obi, and of course presidential candidate of the Labour Party, and he condemned it outright. Nigerians are talking about what Mr. Peter Obi said. Kayode, you have that one.
Oh yes, Mr. Peter Obi actually made those statements, speaking to how, well, he can actually change Nigeria and fix things in 4 years, basically change Nigeria's trajectory. Well, Ali says it's a bold claim coming from Mr. Peter Obi. The Nigerians have heard promises before, and what we need now is a clear plan and not just confidence. That's from Ali. How exactly do you intend to change this trajectory? Ali is asking Mr. Peter Obi.
And Mr. Peter Obi said categorically that he will be on the ballot at the next election. But what are you saying? Yemi of Web3 says, for a serious president and someone who knows what he's doing, 4 years is enough, although I don't trust politicians. And some who are also close to him have said, no, we've been telling him, no, you can't do 4 years. And others are saying, no, you can't believe any Nigerian politician, even Mr. Peter Obi, if he says he'll do only 4 years. But what do you say? We'll keep taking your thoughts on this one. And so from here, let's move on to the next leg of our conversation. And this time around, we have joining us on the program Dr. Coronation Tokpo, who is the Dr. Coronation Topo is the State Organizing Secretary of the All Progressives Congress, Bayelsa State, and Mr. David West is the Chairman, Civil Liberties Organization, Bayelsa State Chapter. Both gentlemen join us virtually on the program. Dr. Coronation, let me start with you. Your party has, in the last 48 hours, crowned for Governor Peter Mba of Enugu State, and according to some reports, may be set to crown another governor. But let's look at Governor Diri's defection now. What are those obvious reasons from your own perspective, and what is your party offering, according to suggestions of some, that perhaps there's pressure or perhaps there's inducement?
Okay, good morning, Bukola and Kayode, and thank you for having me. The first obvious reason that why the governor has to dump the PDP is that the PDP is a sinking ship, and nobody wants to commit suicide, stay in the ship that is sinking, and then sink with it. Secondly, the second compelling reason why the governor had to leave the People's Democratic Party is that the state has to be in sync with the center, because Bayelsa State is already benefiting significantly from the President Tinubu administration. And in the thinking of even ordinary Bayelsans, it will do the state better if we link with the center in the same party. That is not to say that the federal government has not been doing things in opposition states. For example, the federal government awarded the second phase of the Nimbe Brass Road, and over 30 billion naira has been released for the construction of the road and bridges that leads to the Brass Island. We also have seen significant improvement in the work on the East-West Road under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And so it is obvious to every Bayelsan that if we link with the center under the same party platform, Bayelsa State will benefit much more than we currently do. And so the governor has taken the right step, and the people of Bayelsa State are with him. Thank you.
Let's take the same now to Mr. West. Perhaps you have some reactions to Dr. Coronation's submissions about the reasons for the exit of Governor Diri from the PDP. All right, Dr. Coronation, you've talked about the challenges of the PDP, but as we look on ahead to the continuous exit of other other politicians and perhaps governors, because it's been said that more governors will defect, what are the concerns that the interests of these defecting politicians will be taken care of in your party in 2026? Because there have been warnings ahead of this time that there are no guaranteed tickets for those who are coming en masse. Mr. Coronation, did you get my question?
Thank you very much. The APC has a do not discriminate. We do not discriminate against party members that are coming into our party. So if you join the All Progressives Congress today, you enjoy equal rights and opportunities with all members of the party. And so since there is no free ticket for anybody, yes, everybody will go into contest to test their popularity to be able to win the general election. So there is no discrimination, like I've said. And so the people that are coming into the party are guaranteed equal rights with those of us who have been with the party from inception.
So speak to us, when is Governor Diri joining the APC? Dr. Coronation, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, I was asking that when is Governor Diri officially joining the APC?
Well, as state organizing.
Oh dear. we'll reconnect with Dr. Coronation.
The secretary of the party, we've not had communication. He will be joining us.
I'm sorry, we lost you. We lost you at the start of your response. If you can hear me, please start all over again. We lost you due to connection earlier on, so we didn't quite get what you said.
I was saying that the leadership of the party in the state, the structure of the party, who have not received communication from the government to join us. But we're expecting that in the next few days, that communication will come, and we are very willing and ready to receive them.
So that means it may not come to the APC, right? It may join the ADC, it may join the Labour Party or any other party. Are you certain that he will join your party?
Yes, I'm certain that he will join my party.
But why was the approach to defection different from that of others who had made clear, in fact, ahead of their defection, where their destination was? But in his own announcement, he just said, I have resigned my membership of the PDP without disclosing his destination. So why the difference in approach?
Yes, why not saying other governors who have defected are not meticulous? Governor Diri is known to be a very meticulous man. He takes his time, he does his things in a meticulous way, and so he probably want to, do this first and then take the next step by coming into the party in a triumphant manner, in a manner that will carry along his team in such a way that everybody will be happy. Those of us who are in the party to receive him will be happy. Those of them coming with him will also be happy. And so he likes to take his time to do his things.
All right, let's begin to look at the implications of this now for Bayelsa State. We know that perhaps the leader of the party in the state would be former governorship candidate and former minister Timi Silva. So with two key figures now, that's assuming without conceding that Governor Diri is headed for the APC. Who would then become the leader of the APC in the state?
Well, in our party constitution, from the first article to the last article, there is no constitutional provision for who becomes the leader of the party in a state. Leadership is conferred by the followers, and so I wouldn't like to get involved in who becomes the leader of the party in the state. But naturally, the people will understand who their leader is and then follow accordingly. For now, Chief Timi Silva is the leader. When the governor comes in, maybe traditionally, people, by way of convention, believe that a sitting governor should be the leader of the party in the state. Maybe that may be the situation. But as of today, Timi Silva.
Well, interesting disposition there expressed by Dr. Coronation, but the realities would play out, of course, in the coming days and months, if indeed Governor Diri defects to the All Progressives Congress. But I understand that Mr. David West has since joined us yet again. We hope that the connection is seamless this time around. Dr. West, while we waited for the connection to ease out, Dr. Coronation had been speaking quite a lot about the benefits of the alignment with the center, which has, shaped the narrative of defections in the last couple of months. Do you agree with this, that, the governors in the opposition must align with the center? Can't the dividends of democracy trickle down as a right that it should be, even to the opposition states? Mr. West. All right.
It would seem that as much as I want to speak with Mr. West, the connection keeps going south. But let's come back to Dr. Coronation. And just to be clear, you said that he has not spoken to the APC just yet.
Hello. Yeah, good.
Dr. West is going north now.
Okay, please go ahead if you got the question that Bukola asked.
Yes. Now, okay. Yes, I do. Thank you for having me on your show this morning. It's really my pleasure. Very quickly, without wasting much time, I listened to my very good friend, Dr. Topo Coronation. Well, he's a politician. What do you expect? He's going to tell you he's a hooray for them as politicians. But the question whether, as a state, you must align with the center before you begin to get the dividend of democracy, I say categorically no to that assertion. Now, look at it this way. From 1999 till date, Bayelsa State, are you with me, had been a PDP state. And from that 1999, not up to when the APC came, federal government came into power, Bayelsa State had been aligned to the center. What significant change back then had Bayelsa State gotten, or what significant development? So it's immaterial, it's neither here nor there. The issue is whether you align with the center or you are an opposition party. Makes no meaning at all. That should not be a basis for development. The development of your state is purely on the character of the individual, the leader. If he's interested in developing the state will be developed. Cross-carpet or align with the center. Then development will come. Invariably, we are not running a one-party state. There's no need for INEC to begin to register any other party so that the state will align with the center. So I think for me, that is a lazy excuse, I don't subscribe to that. You must not be in that same party at the national level for the state to develop. The development of the state is squarely lies on the hand or the character of the leader. That is my humble opinion to that question. But for my good friend Topo Coronation, is a politician, is a hooray for them that people are coming into their party.
Before we go back to Dr. Coronation, what do you foresee to now be the future of the People's Democratic Party in Bayelsa State? Are we going to see another repeat of what has transpired in River State when you have different leaders of the opposition party, APC? In fact, some would say the PDAPC is what we now have in River State.
It is absolutely the PDAPC, very correct. But in Bayelsa State, I want to tell you the kind of politics they play here is a purely stomach infrastructure politics. And in Bayelsa State, I'm emphatic about this. I stand to be corrected. There is no any other industry or any other business venture where the people of Bayelsa State will make money. Politics is the only industry. Politics is the only business venture. So as a result of that, it's all about stomach infrastructure. So the PDP now, presently in Bayelsa State, I say this with all sense of humility, with due respect to the PDP, they will just go into extinction because virtually all the members of PDP, both living and dead, will all move to the APC. They will join the governor for the sake of stomach infrastructure Southeast, where individually people are multi-millionaires. They don't need to belong to any party to earn a living. But here, you must be a member of the party. That's why they give them unnecessary appointment, SSA here, SSA no office, and people going. You see people, you have been an assembly member, you have been a commissioner, you are coming back to take appointment of SSA no office because of stomach infrastructure. So this will affect the PDP in Bayelsa State drastically. The PDP, if care is not taken, will go into extinction. I was listening to the former governor, Henry Sheraki Dixon, when he said he remains in the party, and I was laughing, who is going to remain with you when I know how Bayelsa State people play their politics? It's all about money. It's all about what they want to benefit. So you see them move massively. Now look at the Speaker of the State House of Assembly, with all due respect to him. Yesterday, in this ceremony you are showing, did you hear his comment? He said, because the governor is the leader, he has directed, and all of them will go. Does that make any sense to you? Without recourse to the provisions of the 1999 Constitution as amended, on their own side, that
well, let's Dr. West, the connection is not like as friendly this morning. But if you can hear me,
that section of the Constitution to now give his allegiance to the governor I said it clearly because the governor has moved, they are all going to move it in. It is quite unfortunate. The speaker did not say that the PDP is forming a meeting. I can hear you, sir.
Apologies, the connection has been a bit erratic, so it's been tough to really get your comments through. But I think the point you were making about the Speaker of the Assembly, I mean, that got through quite well. Wondering why he would align without a meeting. I mean, that's meant to be another arm of government in that sense. But let's wind down on this point. And I want to ask Mr. Coronation this final question. I recall the chairman of the APC in Bayelsa State using these words about Governor Diri, saying he is a failure. Diri has failed in all ramifications and in all aspects of governance. So the question is, why are you welcoming someone you've described as a failure into your party? Is your party also a failure? Because they say that, I mean, failures work together.
Well, if you have been following political developments in Bayelsa State, you would understand that the governor in recent months have been doing so significantly well. Bayelsans are very appreciative of what he is doing recently. We took receipt of a 60 megawatts gas turbine, which is very significant development for Bayelsa State. The governor is also embarking on the 3 senatorial roads. Those are projects that ordinarily should be for the federal government to embark on. But the governor is making, in fact, is linking communities through the 3 senatorial roads. And he has also taken up the project of building a 9-story state secretariat for the state. These are recent developments. We, as opposition party, our duty was to put the governor on its toes so that these things will happen. And we have begun to see these significant developments happening. We have promised that by December, Bayelsa State will enjoy 24 hours power supply, 7 days a week. And
all right, that's a great place to anchor.
That is happening of recent, and the government is likely to finish very strong.
So now that he's joining, in the build-up to it, is no more a failure. Well, we have to thank you so much, Dr. Tokpo Coronation. As they said, I mean, it's only interests that are permanent. You don't have permanent friends or enemies in politics. Dr. Tokpo Coronation is a state organizer secretary of the APC in Bayelsa State. We also have Mr. David West, chairman, Civil Liberties Organization, Bayelsa State Chapter. Gentlemen, thank you for your time. I wish the state the very best.
Thank you for having us.